So, what if I could tell you not only why you don't have everything you already want in life, but the exact formula that the most wealthy and successful people in the world use to get it? I'm going to give you both of those things today by really outlining and breaking it down into a very basic system so you can understand why you aren't where you want to be and also have a path outlined for you to get there. Because at the end of the day, we want to live amazing lives, right? We want to be in abundance, we want to have wealth, we want to have resources, friends, community, all of those things you want. They're not bad things to want, but at the end of the day, the reason you don't have them already is usually one of two things. The first is that you're not good enough, and the second is that you don't want it enough. And these two things are the reason that most people stay stuck. If you don't know me or why I'm talking about this shit, my name is Carter Rain, and I am a dragon tamer. I basically spend all of my days, and have for the last 15 plus years, deep in the trenches with people, understanding why they are getting the results they're getting, what's stopping them from having all the money, sex, and power that they could possibly want in the world. And so I've broken it down into some very simple systems, and today I'm going to be helping you to access those systems so that you can have it all. So the first reason, you're not good enough. Now, when I talk about being good enough, this isn't really an ego thing. It's not about measuring yourself, but in a way, it's just about whether or not you're good enough to do the work you're doing. If you've read Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, you probably think, oh, I gotta spend 10,000 hours getting good at this. Or maybe you get stuck in the education or the certification trap. So many people go there, right? They think, oh, I need to be certified in this. I need to have this degree. I need to have this knowledge or this this label on my website. And if I'm this, then people will trust me. At the end of the day, there are things that require that level of knowledge, like book knowledge, certification, and training, and there are things that don't. And the majority of people do not need that level of training and certification to do good in the world. At the end of the day, if you're trying to be a coach or a leader, a lot of times it's just about not only gaining the knowledge, but really taking action. So when you think of whether or not you're good enough, I don't want you to measure yourself against this lofty standard you have of maybe someone on YouTube or a guru you follow or an author that you read their books. Think of, am I good enough to help the people that I am ready and close enough to help already? So if you think about the famous parable where there were two friends and they were out and they were in the woods and they were going, and all of a sudden there's a bear and the bear shows up and the one friend sits there and starts tightening his shoelaces. And the guy says, what are you doing? You can't tighten your shoelaces. Like, we can't run faster than this bear. And the other guy says, I don't have to run faster than the bear. I just have to run faster than you. And this is what we're really up against in the open market today. You don't need to be better than everyone, right? So if you're a coach or a leader, you don't need to be at a 10 out of 10. You do not need to be an expert in your field. You simply need to be ahead of, by a little bit, the people that you seek to help. At the end of the day, if you imagine all of us are going through this journey of life, if you were on a mountain, right? And you were getting stuck at this one spot. It was just tricky. You couldn't quite figure out where to put your footing to get up this little rock face. Do you want somebody at the very top of the mountain yelling down at you, hey, put it over to the right? Or do you want someone who's maybe just above the rock face to say, hey, I struggled with that too, and let me show you what I did. Let me help you to get to here, right? Because often in life, transformation and journey work is not just about how do we get to the top of the mountain, it's the entire process between there. And most of the time, the most helpful people are the ones that are just ahead of us on the journey. So if you're a healer or a spiritual worker, or you work with people in the helping space, if you're a coach, this is really important. You do not need another certification to begin helping people. So start where you're at. If you think of this as like preparation versus action, I want you to spend 10% of your time preparing, 80% of your time taking action, and then 10% reviewing, revising, and making the next plan. So call it the 10-80-10 rule. 10% of your time planning your action, 80% doing, 10% reviewing. So much of us get stuck in this just like, I'll just get a little better. It's not quite right yet. This is a really great example when you think about performance and productions. Like if you think of a staged performance, they review and they practice for weeks and weeks and weeks, and then they go and perform, right? And when they perform, there's inevitably something that goes wrong, but 99 times out of 100, no one in the audience even knew. And so because we are our own worst critic, we're the one that we feel like we're on stage. A lot of times we just keep revising, keep practicing, keep going back to the drawing board and never get to opening night. Never actually ship our product and say, here I am, this is the best I can do, this is where I'm at, and this is what I can help with. So if you feel like you're stuck in that rut, give yourself permission to simply take action. I'm taking action by creating this YouTube channel. I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know if I'll have enough content to fill it, but today I'm taking action. And at the end of the day, that's the only way I'm going to get the information I need, because I will only get better at this by doing it. And most of the time, the information you need about what you're doing right or wrong is on the other side of the actions you're afraid to take. So if you absolutely cannot get into action, do yourself a favor and get yourself some accountability. Get yourself a coach or someone who can help you get into action, because the more you sit here and you just think, I'm not quite sure if I have exactly what I need. I wonder if I could be a little bit better at this. You're just probably not going to do it. And at the end of the day, you owe it to your future self to start taking action today. So if you're not good enough, get better. And if you're probably good enough, go ahead and just start taking action. It's a huge secret that the wealthy use. Most of the time, people that have been very successful really weren't ready. They just decided to take action, and they went and they tried and they failed and they tried and they failed, and eventually they failed enough to gain the knowledge they needed to be experts in their field. So get out there and fail. That's the first one, if you are not good enough. The second component of why you don't have what you want already is that you simply do not want it badly enough. And what I mean by this is you are unwilling to do what it takes to get the outcome. So there are two different components when it comes to acquiring a thing. There is the process and there is the outcome. That's the two components, and that's all it is. Most people spend a ton of time dreaming about the outcome and then fixating and worrying about the process. If we just figured out how to do the process and did it with fidelity, and kept our eyes focused on the outcome, doing the process with fidelity, keeping your eyes focused on the outcome, you'd probably already be there. And the reason we don't do that is oftentimes in the fine print of that development. So I consider the fine print of self-development things that happen when you up-level your life and all of a sudden you're like, wait, I don't know if I was ready for that. Some of the things that might happen if you've already been through different levels of bringing your life up to a new state is you might have lost a lot of friends. Your family might not understand what you're doing. You may have become unfulfilled in your job and had to change jobs. You may have all of a sudden not quite fit in your community and had to move or change cities. This is very common and is honestly one of the biggest reasons people don't level up to where they need to be so that they can be better, so that they can have more. They don't want it badly enough. So here's an example for you. If I were to ask you right now, what are the chances this year you will make $1 million? What are the chances this year you will make $1 million? And for most of the people that would watch this channel, it's not high. I would hear probably like 2%, 5%, maybe 6% on the outside, right? So if your chances of making $1 million are under 10%, I just kind of want you to think about that, write that down. Now, I want you to imagine that I say the same thing, right? This year, what are your chances of making $1 million? If you do not make this $1 million, I will kill everyone you love. Everyone you know and love will be gone forever. Now what are your chances of making $1 million? A lot higher, huh? The reality of why you aren't where you want to be is that you simply do not want it badly enough. So if in your life you ever have set a goal, maybe it happened today, you're like, I'm going to get up and I'm going to go to the gym, right? At the end of the day, if you set the alarm, if you set the processes, and when the time is right for you to go, you don't go, I don't think you want it badly enough. And usually what it is you want something else more, right? So if it involves getting up, getting out of bed, getting dressed, all those things, maybe you want to stay in bed more than you want to go to the gym, right? If it comes to other components, it might just be that you don't want the thing up here, right? You want the safety, you want the security versus the sacrifice and the fear that it's going to take for you to really put yourself out there. So at the end of the day, it really comes down to you getting connected in a powerful way to what you want, and then creating an environment that makes your outcome inevitable. So this comes down a lot of times to environmental design, right? What in your environment reminds you of who you were and what reminds you of who you will be, right? If I'm the person that goes to the gym every morning, then I set out my protein shake and I set out my supplements. I even set out my clothes because I'm going to the gym. So set your environment up to be successful. If you have a couch and a remote accessible, but all the things you need to go to the gym are like tucked away in a weird closet somewhere, what do you think is going to be the thing you do? Right? If you have access to your phone and TikTok is the first app on there and you can just browse that endlessly day upon day, and in order to actually build like a YouTube channel or to make a difference or to put out offers, you got to get logged into your computer in your office, which is in a weird corner of the house that you don't like. Change it, right? Change it so that your environment supports what you want. And realize that what you want is going to require sacrifice, and be honest about those things. Have conversations with people that may not be a good fit in your life anymore. Remember that you are the sum total of the 5 people you spend the most time with. What are their outcomes in life? What are the results that they're getting? And oftentimes you want your friends more than you want your results, or you want your comfort, your creature comforts more than you want your results. So when you think about results, whether these are results in your personal health, results in your wealth, or results in your relationship, the first thing I would recommend is look around at the 5 people around you in those 3 areas. The second thing that I would recommend is to set up your environment to support your goals and outcome. Realize anything getting in the way of it, anything that you are ever tempted to want more than that outcome you want, and simply eradicate it. Be absolutely mercenary with this. Get rid of anything between you and your goal, or anything you are tempted to want more. It's not about being in this state of like higher consciousness of like, oh, I just do everything I say I'm going to do because I'm evolved. We're still humans, right? We still have urges and desires. We still have temptations. We still have old patterns. We still have like our own brain neurochemistry that's fighting against us day in and day out and being programmed by things like social media scrolling. I can't help you with all of those things, but I can encourage you to take the steps necessary to really reflect back to yourself what you want. Remember that 95% of the decisions you make every day are all in your subconscious mind. So if you need help with this, again, get yourself some support and really understand what's going on the deeper levels. Read works like Carl Jung if you can manage the higher levels of the shadow consciousness. If not, get into works like Do the Work by Nicole LePero on the concept of self-healing. There's other books, Atomic Habits by James Clear is very popular on how to kind of change your state of being so that you can get what you want. But at the end of the day, it's okay if you don't want that thing. This comes up a lot when I work with other coaches. A lot of coaches get into the industry. Their standard is I want to make $10,000 a month like seamlessly, or I want to make $20K or $30K, but they don't realize what that's actually going to mean for them. And more importantly, they haven't figured out what they're going to do with that money when they get it. Why would that come to you if you don't actually want it, right? It would be like going to a restaurant and it's just you and ordering 10 different entrees, right? It's like, well, where are you going to put all of that? You can't eat all of that food. Like maybe you're going to take it home. But if you don't have a plan for it, you wouldn't do it. So if you don't have a plan for all the resources you will gain by doing the work that you're doing, then why would those resources come to you in the first place? And obviously you wouldn't take the steps and do the work to get those resources if you don't have a plan for what it's going to do and where it's going to go. So begin to play this out in your mind. Take some time in some reflection or journaling or meditation and think, what do I really want in life and why do I want it? So maybe you want $10,000, $20,000 a month. I have no shame or no guilt for you about why you want what you want. Maybe you want to have a line of people out the door that want to have sex with you. Maybe you want to have a big old house on a hill just so that you can say, told you I could do it. I don't care. I don't care what you want and I don't care why you want it. But at the end of the day, if you don't have it, it is simply because you don't want it badly enough, which probably means you want something else more, whether it's your comfort, your sense of safety, your stability, your fixed lifestyle, the things you expected, the comfort and acceptance of your family. I don't know what it is, but if you can figure out what you want more than the goal you keep saying you want but never actually achieving, you will be well on your way to understanding what you need to do to actually get there. So, if this was helpful, if you have thoughts, feel free to drop them in the comments below. I will make sure to take time to help as much as I can so that we can all get real about what we want and can ultimately all have what we want. See you guys around.